All right, well, we will get going. John has posted the bit.ly link several times, and then I just re-put it in there. All of our affinity group resources are on that same page. So the last sessions you guys were in, and then this session, they'll all be on that same page. So we will have multiple tabs going today, but that can just be one more to our 48 tabs if you want to. So, but thank you for joining us. Obviously, this is our third session, but it's a brand new topic for you guys because you had two different sessions on a different topic last time. So this one is technology centered around collaboration, and you can find resources at the link that we've given you. Brooke and I sent out an email last week, and it has a participation guide, but that's also all of the materials are on the same page. And here's a picture of Brooke and us. And we're just happy that you guys are with us, and thanks for sharing your afternoon with us. So we're glad to have you guys here. We're going to hopefully highlight some strategies. Well, really what we want is you guys to highlight some strategies that have worked for you all. Just an overview of Zoom. We will be using the chat today. So if you hover around the bottom, you can find a little chat bubble. It actually looks like this little thing, except it's in a different color. And then respond to the chats so we can go with that. Obviously, you should probably know how to mute and unmute now, but if you need anything, just let us know, and we'll be glad to help you. So several of you have already done the hello, my name is, but if you have not, just kind of let us know what school, grade, subject, and that would help us. So obviously most of us are ELA. Is that right? Most of us are ELA. And we have 6th, 7th, and 8th represented. So, okay, good. Well, we've got the whole middle school gambit here. Good deal. So if you haven't done that, and then, yes, thank you, Brandy. Yes, exactly. Just kind of let us know where you're coming from. And Brooke's gonna just kind of give you an overview of rural life quickly, just to remind us of our purpose here and what the grant entails.
Oh, so I'm sure that this might just be a refresher at this point. I'm sure we're all familiar with what Rural Life stands for. We've been together several times and done some learning around some of the grant goals, but we're here to bring together research and best practice from both the literacy and personalized learning fields. So we're in our Lead Teacher Collaborative series. And the purpose of that is just to build a sense of community among our rural life schools, to reflect on and share about our rural life work and engage in some professional learning together around certain topics that have been selected by you guys. So just a refresher about where we are. We got together a couple of times, once in November and February as a whole group, and did some learning together around literacy and personalized learning. We met in affinity groups in our first round in January and February. And then so you had the opportunity to select a new affinity group. And so we are actually in the first session of round 2 of our affinity groups. So those will take place today and in April. And then we'll come back together in the summer for some learning. And I think we'll have those dates for you at the end. In the technology group, we really took some feedback and some requests and suggestions, and planned a 2-session series just to be able to talk about how to effectively use technology in the classroom, how to give you an opportunity to learn about some new tools and strategies while really maintaining a focus on best practices, an opportunity to chat and share with other teachers about some successes and challenges that are happening in the classrooms now, and implementing new strategies and just trying out some new things, refining our practice, and just kind of learning together. Also some time to reflect on this year's experience. I think a lot of us are using technology possibly more than ever. There are some good things and some negative things that are coming along as a result of that, but just an experience to stand back and discuss some opportunities that we might have to transform our teaching based on some of the things that we've been able to try this year. So today we're really going to focus in on utilizing and managing tech tools in the classroom, explore and apply some virtual collaboration tools that engage students and support learning, and collaborate with our colleagues to improve and share resources and ideas.
Awesome. Okay, so I'm dropping a link, you guys, and this is going to take us to a Padlet. But before we change screens, I'll just kind of give you an overview. We're accessing the Padlet by clicking the link, obviously. And then what we want you guys to do, and this kind of spurred some discussion last time, so we're hoping it does the same this time, is read each of the 4 quotes and then select one that maybe speaks to you. And then that actually could be something that you agree with wholeheartedly or vehemently disagree with. It does not have to be positive and or negative. It can be either. And then after you've commented on that, if you will comment on 2 of the other teachers' comments. So it's just basically an online discussion that we're having here. So just to kind of recap, we're going to click on the link for the Padlet that Brooke is now showing. 4 quotes will show up, all centered around technology. And we're going to respond to one that resonates with you and then reply to 2 other teachers. So we'll give you guys a few minutes also to do that. And that way we can have a interactive online board. And if you guys have any issues getting in, let us know. Looks like a lot of people are already in there, and everybody is aware. You click the little plus sign to comment, just like you guys are already doing. Perfect. Just on a side note, if you're not seeing anything new, refresh your Padlet, and the other comments and little hearts that'll all show up. So it just has to be refreshed sometimes in the middle of it. Miss Roberts has the right idea. She's sitting outside for this Zoom. It's such a beautiful day. That's the perfect way to do it. We should all be outside. Padlet's one of those nice things where they can comment to each other, even if it's just a heart. It's kind of like that thumbs up and thumbs down. There's research behind that, that teens love to see hearts and likes on their page and all of that. But also they can add images. And if you'll notice, Brooke's name is showing up because she's registered into this Padlet. And because we just joined hers, our names are showing up as anonymous. But it doesn't have to be anonymous. It can have names on it, unlike some other things that are completely anonymous when you post. So I think she's posted a picture for us here about exploration. And I don't want to take us over on time, Brooke, so feel free to stop me, but I want everybody to have a moment to read through other people's quotes and other people's responses. So.
I think if we've all had a chance to kind of like read through, maybe just open up the floor to discuss, because I think there's some great discussion going on here on the board. So does anyone want to comment on something that really just struck you as you were thinking about these quotes or looking at a response?
I like the kids still need to be kids. Does somebody want to kind of further that thought?
Well, can you guys hear me? Am I unmuted? Okay.
Yeah, you're good.
We're a STEM school, so we're completely paperless. Like we don't even use paper for anything on a daily basis. And our last PBL was a space unit, and we did paper mache planets, and then we had to make them in scale to the size of the actual planet and do all the math conversions and everything. Our rooms were a complete disaster for 2 days with paper mache, hands, all in glue, paint everywhere. Our kids had the best time for 2 days, literally just playing in glue and painting. And they're like, oh, can we please do more of this? So, I mean, that's what I mean by kids. Kids just need to be kids still. I mean, they still need that fun stuff. They still need that messy stuff because, I mean, they really enjoyed it because we are just completely, tech-based all day. It was a nice break from a screen for a while.
I think that's a good point too. Anytime that we're thinking about effectively using technology, like thinking about that balance between technology and pencil paper or books or face-to-face discussion or whatever it may be. So I think that's been something that's really stood out to all of us this year is maybe we're leaning too much one way because of circumstances, just because. But you make a great point, Brandy.
And the very same point I think was also made in the first and second column too, that yes, it's a wonderful tool, but in that second column there, let me go back to it. Somebody said, although we need to move forward, we still can't forget the roots. Distance learning has changed the delivery, but the basis is still the same. And I think it's a good reminder, and that's kind of what we want to talk about today, is marrying the two. Teacher still center, and teacher sets the tone. Not so much that teachers sage on the stage, but that they are, facilitating the room. But technology can be used and should be used because it's something that they'll grow up with, especially when they get to college, but it doesn't have to be our only tool. So anybody else want to kind of comment on something that struck you or resonated with you? Well, if you want to, if you kind of want to, if you've found a new idea or liked a thought, you can jot it down in your participant notes. And basically, how do we use tech effectively in order to get the kids to collaborate? And that's kind of what we want. Our 2 sessions, today's kind of an intro. The next one will be a little bit of a deeper dive. So how do we want the kids to effectively collaborate while using technology, but still feeling that relationship that you guys mentioned? And I love that you focused on relationship, because that is what it boils down to. Because you can put a cold laptop in front of them, right? But that relationship is what helps them interact.
I think there's some good discussion going on in the John Dewey quote column as well. Just thinking about, someone said, in a nutshell, this year has taught us that change is inevitable. So not teaching today as we taught yesterday. And I just really, and I posted the comment, I thought I was anonymous, but I'm not. I thought only I could see my name, but I did say, I feel like we ventured into some new territory this year in a lot of ways. And maybe we won't return to all of the old ways. I know we're all hoping for a return to normal, but maybe there are some things that we think, hey, this is actually working better, or maybe I'm just crazy. Classroom teachers might be laughing at me right now, but I think that I see a lot of comments here about if we can't forget our roots and the foundations that make it possible. Basis of learning is still the same. And if it isn't broken, don't fix it. So I see those comments as well. So I think all ideas to keep in mind, and then just the power of interactive technologies. What do they make possible that we couldn't do before? But keeping that intention, the basis of our foundations, our roots in mind about what good teaching and learning is.
So we'll just take a second. If anybody else wants to comment or start a thread, we can go with that. And if not, we'll kind of go back to our slideshow, different tab, and then we will kind of further along.
So just touching on one of those comments that we just talked about, as educators with years of experience and shared knowledge around teaching and learning, we know that collaboration is one of those research-based best practices that we hold in our teacher toolkits. We know that collaboration supports higher level thinking, communication skills, self-management, leadership, just exposes students to diverse perspectives and prepares them for real life experiences. And it also helps them retain content and build self-esteem when done right. One huge theme that I've encountered in my work with different teachers in schools this year is just how much more difficult collaboration has become. And we love to plan collaborative activities that engage students and in discussion and hands-on learning with peers, but due to some of the constraints and some of the crazy things that are happening this year, hybrid learning, social distancing, many other factors, we know that for some it has been a hurdle. And we know that some have found success. So that's kind of what we want to talk about today is some of those hurdles, some of those successes, and just how we can keep kids collaborating remotely as we finish out this year. We ask you to watch this short video prior to attending today. And if you took time to do that, we appreciate you. And if you didn't have time, we certainly understand that as well. So we'll just watch it through again together, just in case. And as a reminder, we ask you to jot down on a note catcher or just on your own notes somewhere, 3 things that you notice, 2 things that you wonder or you would like to know more about, and 1 tool or strategy that you have found success with this school year to keep kids collaborating. So it could be something from the video or something that's totally different. So we'll just remind you to grab those notes wherever you put that down. And if you didn't have the chance, then just jot it down really quickly as we're watching. And we're going to have time to share that with one another and hopefully just come out of this with many new great ideas to add to our toolkit. I'm going to go ahead and give you a minute to grab those. And I'm going to start the video and hope that I shared my sound correctly.
It's easy to let group work fall by the wayside when you can't be in the room to ensure focus. Even for those teaching in person right now, social distancing prevents students from gathering around shared documents or devices. But using digital tools to collaborate can keep students connected, sharpen their tech skills, and support core academics. Here are 5 ways to enable your students to work together when they can't be near one another. Many schools already use basic tools designed for collaboration, like Google Docs or Slides. Ask students to build on each other's work in a presentation. Revision history will let you track contributions by author and help your students avoid accidental lost work. Ask students to create a digital bulletin board together to manage a project, organize information, or show their thinking. Tools that offer virtual collaboration walls for stickies or images, such as Padlet or Nearpod Collaborate, are easy to learn. Brainstorms, gallery walks, and sequencing activities can all be taken online with an interactive whiteboard tool like Jamboard. Breakout rooms can pose a management challenge, but they can be a great way to facilitate virtual discussions or small group work for older students while using a video conferencing tool like Zoom. Keep students on track by joining random breakout rooms or hold them accountable with shared documents. Harness students' enthusiasm for virtual worlds by assigning them to work on models together in an immersive environment. Many games, like Minecraft and Roblox, offer support and tools just for educators. Connect the project to their learning outside the virtual world and set parameters around which tools or materials can be used to avoid a potential time suck. Ask students to record videos to show their learning with a popular tool like Flipgrid, and classmates can comment on them or make response videos. Many apps allow students to reflect on each other's uploaded work, like Seesaw. Sharing guidelines for appropriate and respectful use of tools like this is key for a great peer feedback experience for students. Ultimately, the same best practices will help your students collaborate remotely via technology as anywhere else. Setting clear ground rules and expectations together, designating roles and scaffolding the basic skills needed, and closely tracking student work and progress. With a little bit of tech know-how, you can get your students back into a collaborative zone no matter where they are.
Okay, so we'll give you just a minute to reflect on that, your 3, 2, 1, as the technology facilitator, figure out how to make this video stop playing. We're going to move on over to a Jamboard, and I hope that this video helped to spark some new ideas for you or just reinforce some of the strategies that you're finding success with this year. As I watched it again for multiple times, something that just really struck me is we're using the same best practices that we've always used, like those discussions, the peer editing, tracking students' progress, and giving them feedback. So really letting those best practices in your content drive your lesson planning, not tools. I think that's something that as an avid tech user, I always have to remind myself when I'm planning is to look at the content first, tools second. So what's going to support what I really want to achieve. So if you would like to hop on over, I think someone has posted the link to the Jamboard in the chat, and it's also linked there on your participant guide if you have that in front of you. That'll just open up a Jamboard. I know this is a popular tool that a lot of people have used this year. I don't know, is anyone new to Jamboard? Is this anyone's first time? I was just wondering how much I needed to kind of walk you through this. But you'll notice it's
On
pretty
one hand.
Okay, good. Sorry, I can't
know if you could see this. Yeah.
I'm so much over here. I cannot see everyone. So it's pretty simple. At the top, you're going to see these are frames like slides, and you can navigate back and forth through there. We're going to start on this first frame, and then we're going to move on to the second one and the third one eventually. But you also have options as far as pens, erasers. You have a little select pointer where you can point to things. What we'll be using is a sticky note feature, and you just click that. You can choose the color of your sticky note, and then you just type your text on there that you want to type. So I noticed whatever you noticed, click save, and your sticky note will pop up on the board. And there are a few other features. You can use images if you want to, circle. You can use your highlighter or your laser to point to someone's response, or just add a text box. Any questions about that? Okay, so we'll give you a couple of minutes to just post everything that you noticed. If you want to post multiple times, that is fine with us. Doesn't have to be just one thing. Actually, it says please add 3 things that you noticed. So if you have 3, please add those. see a lot of great posting going on here. Just a reminder, if you haven't posted the 3 things that you notice, please finish that up, and we'll take about 1 more minute for that. And hopefully have a chance to discuss some of the posts that are coming on. Okay, so does anyone want to just kind of kick off a discussion about anything that you're seeing come up here? So what similarities are you noticing, or did anyone point out anything that you just want to agree with, or maybe something that you didn't notice?
Brooke, there were several good points about breakout rooms and about Minecraft. So I tried to kind of move Post-it notes around to kind of put them together. But it looks like all of us are a bit leery about breakout rooms with 6th, 7th, and 8th graders, which is completely understandable. Or 6th through 12th, I guess we could say, I mean, we could say all of them. So, and you guys feel free to unmute and talk to us. We want this to be kind of you guys. You're the ones in there with the students. I've learned so much just from being in teachers' classrooms this year, watching them do it. So if you have a great idea and or something that you notice that you want to share, please feel free.
I would love to use breakout rooms, but I can't imagine under what circumstances I would be able to use them. I don't think they should be ever alone. And I really would be concerned about the conversations they would have. And I think that's a minefield. It's great in theory, like it's fantastic in theory, but I think putting it into practice is a little bit more difficult. Unless you have someone that can be unless you have an adult that you can have in your meets, that you can have in a breakout room, and you can assign, an adult to those just to moderate and make sure everybody's doing what they're supposed to be doing, and they're not just holding up somebody's cat and talking about their cat and, odd conversations that middle schoolers have.
On that note, and Brooke has been here to see this, we teach in, like I said, PBL units. So the day she came, I had 17 Google Meets going all at the same time. And I am on every meet. I have captions on, so I know what's being said. I'm recording every meet. But we didn't have a choice but to make this work. I mean, this is what my school is based on. So when we started this, it was set in stone, concrete. If you do X, Y, and Z, this is coming off your grade. If you do X, Y, and Z, this is going to happen. I mean, there were severe consequences. Knock on wood, we've never had one issue this entire year. But it's literally all about what we started with and how I don't even know what threatened, but I mean, that's really what it is with our kids, that, these are our expectations. These are our rules. And if you decide to not follow these, and this is your grade, and these projects are 25% of their grade. So it was super important for them to be an active part of it. And like I said, the best thing is we can turn on all the captions. So I know, and you can see, I mean, like it's all here on my desk. There's multiple screens going. But you really can monitor it. And I'm not going to tell you what's scary at first. It was because we thought, oh, dear Lord, how are we going to do this? It's possible, but you have to have kids who want to make it successful too. I mean, you can't have kids who want to act like, silly turds or anything. You have to meet, they have to want to be a part of it. And our kids bought into it. So that was probably the only reason it was successful, is because our kids bought into it to begin with.
I think one of the greatest hurdles that we had in our system is that we had a new reading series. We had Amplify, and so the ELA teachers were, learning Amplify, and that was new within itself. And then we also were learning, we learned Canvas, And then we learned all these other basic things to use with Canvas. And so all of these cool applications weren't even really presented because we were too busy learning the basics of how to manage students from home. And so we didn't have these expectations like she was talking about in place from the very beginning. And so for us, I know at my school, it's incredibly difficult just to get students to show up for a Zoom meeting because we didn't have, expectations, if you're not present for the meeting, then you're considered absent and so forth. And so when I see all these things, I think that they're really neat and they're really cool, but I kind of feel like some of us have gotten left behind because we were trying to figure out the basics. I don't know if I'm the only one that feels that way or not, but I think that's the frustrating part, is that the tools are there, but there's a lack of training, using those tools.
I think you all bring up very excellent points, and I think, Becky, you are definitely not alone. So many teachers were new to Google everything this year, Google Classroom, Google Docs, and I think that some schools had been using some of these technologies already, and so I think you really drove home a point that we wanted to focus on, which is thinking about just the most effective way to use technology. So it may not be using like the new tool that I'm sure something new just came out today, but thinking about your curriculum and the activities that are in there, like how can that tech enhance what some of those activities that are there in your lesson plan? So how can we use that to enhance some of the collaboration pieces that are within our existing curriculum is something that we really hoped that we would be able to focus on and drive home. And I know that within curriculum like Amplify, there are lots of opportunities for collaboration, and that's been a challenge to like how do we still make that work? And also thinking about what pieces are already in the curriculum that you can use. So how can students collaborate within the platform? How can you do things like give feedback within that platform? So I think there's no one size fits all for technology for sure. And something that I was just reminded of is, Tracy, we forgot to send out that survey that we sent out the first round, just to kind of see where everyone was in use of technology. So that would have been really interesting info to have and helpful info to have, because I think we're all on different levels, and I think that that's totally okay. So we definitely don't want to stress you out with any just like tools like, oh, well, I'm not using Jamboard, so we don't want you to feel stressed about that. But we do want to just kind of talk about some avenues and strategies that have been helping us find some success this year. And we can also talk about ways that, or strategies or tools that aren't working as well. I don't want to move on and leave anything out on here, because I think there's a good discussion, but we are getting a little short on time. But I see some really good comments on here about other strategies and things that you noticed. So hopefully we'll have time to dig into those a little later on, or maybe even next time. If you have a chance to just go ahead and add 2 things that you wondered or that you wanted to know more about, I see some people have already done that. So please, if you have a wondering, please go ahead and add that. And then if you can, just flip on over to frame 3 as well, and just share one tech tool or strategy that has helped you keep kids collaborating this school year. And I see that Brandy has mentioned the Google Meets again. And I have to say, it was really awesome to go in and see the presentation. So students presenting in groups in person and remote at the same time. So some group members were remote and some were presenting. And I said, wow, this is amazing. This is not for everyone, but it is really incredible to see that being done. So I was hoping that we might have some time for people to just kind of share some things that really are working with your students this year. And so we'll just take about 1 more minute, and then we'll have some time for just discussion and some Q&A before we wrap it up and get you out to this beautiful weather today. And while we're wrapping this up and just continuing to post things that we wonder or things that are working well, if you'd like to just hop on the mic and ask a question to the group about something that you're wondering, or to share a strategy that is just really working amazingly well for you and you'd like to share it with everyone, please do that.
The next portion of our slides, it goes into Q&A. So if you guys have questions from each other, like, hey, how'd you do that? Or, hey, what's the best way? I mean, we're open. So you guys can get on chat, share each other's information, or you could just unmute and ask somebody a question. Hey, how did you implement that? Because that's kind of what we want these to be. We want these to be collaboration amongst our little affinity group. So it kind of leads you right into Brooke's session right here in the Jamboard, leads you right into what we're doing next. So we can combine them. It's totally fine. Ask away. Somebody asked about being able to see their student's screen. Yes, there is a program. It's called Go Guardian that our county uses. And you can see, you can pull it up on your desktop or your laptop, and you can see every screen that's in your room at that time and what they're on and what they're doing, whether they're on a Google Meet virtually or whether they're there with you. So there are programs like that out there.
Is that a free program?
Probably not. Our county has it countywide. Yeah, probably not.
Probably not. It's called what? I'm sorry. Go Guardian?
Go Guardian. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We use Impero and it does the same thing. You can pull up the whole class and you can see their screens live. And our county did pay for that.
Yeah, that's one thing that I tend to struggle with is, you know, with me assigning something on, whether even if it's just on Canvas and they're working on it, you know, they tend to, they figured out how to have secret screens and hidden screens. And then when you're monitoring, you know, I mean, it's never ending. So,
that was a change. So now after I've taught the lesson and I've asked them to go onto Canvas to complete something, I go to the back of the room so I can see all of the screens. So it's no longer walking up and down the aisles or even standing at the front of the room. You stand at the back of the room so you can see what they're seeing, to make sure, just to monitor what they are doing while they're on the computer.
Does anyone know about, is the collaborative function available for free on Nearpod? I feel like I just encountered this and I can't recall. I'm thinking there was something tricky maybe with the collaborative board if you're trying to share a student paced lesson on there, but not if you were doing not if you were doing that synchronously. I think if you're presenting to the class and they're all there live, I think the collaborative board will work. But I think if it's asynchronous, it will not work. But I have to double check myself on that.
Do most of you guys have the rule in place that if students do not attend Zooms or their virtual meetings, that they're counted absent? Do your students show up for that? Okay. All right.
When we were
Even if-
totally virtual, I averaged, well, it's according, so I would send out a remind notice to the parents like 15 minutes before it started. And so out of 88 students, I think we had 30 that would come. And then if I did not remind the parents, then probably 15 would come.
Right.
And no, we did
Right.
not have you're absent if you don't attend. No.
I support at least 2 districts that require students to attend synchronously for the entire day. And so those teachers are teaching virtual students and in-person students at the same time.
I think that makes a huge difference. It's very important.
Our county does not require them to be synchronous with us. They can get on later and watch a recording and then just do the work. But you're right, that lends itself to them not showing up at all. That's what, so if this continues, if this whole virtual world continues, like Brandy had said at the beginning, some of those protocols that were not in place because we were building the plane as we flew it this year, you know, some of those protocols will kind of have to be set in stone, like for breakout rooms and for virtual meet and, you know, just different things. And now we know this was definitely a learning curve this year, right?
It was, yes.
Now, I visited a school this week and I visited an extended skills class. So it was a media class. The students were creating a newscast to share in the cafeteria and they just all had all of these different jobs. And so I realized it was a different class than your regular ELA class. But one of the students there who was virtual was actually on a Google Meet and she was over with the group of people who were in person and they were on a collaborative Google Doc and they were writing a script together for the newscast, very similar to what I've seen at Brandy School with the students working on PBLs together. So it's happening, but I think yes, the standards and the expectations being set from the get-go are what is making that successful, for sure. And that may not work for your school, and not here trying to pressure anybody to use any specific tools or strategies, but just really to get the ball rolling on thinking about what is working, what is an effective use of technology, and maybe just to learn some new tools that you might want to take back and use with your students or share with your colleagues. So we hope that you've liked using a Jamboard and the Padlet today to interact, as well as just the chat feature. I know that schools who are using Google Meet and Zoom have started off the year. Most of the in-person students weren't on the Google Meet, but now I'm seeing more and more teachers open that up to students. So they're participating with the virtual students in the chat. And I even visited one teacher who said, yeah, I don't have any virtual students, but I'm still opening up the chat because I feel that students are more comfortable to ask questions and participate. some of them if they're doing it in chat live during the class. So, I mean, it's whatever works for you. It's all about your classroom culture and your community of learners and what works best with them. And you know your students, so you know what would work well, what would go over well, and what wouldn't. So any other final thoughts or questions? We still have a few more minutes. If you could answer someone's question, or if you want to share something else that's really working well for you, I'd love to hear about the Jamboard and the scavenger hunts. Are you using those together, or are those two separate things? Not to put you on the spot, whoever posted that.
Well, maybe it was Nancy, because Nancy told us ahead of time she had to go to PT and she's not here. So maybe it was, maybe that was her. I'll ask her about, I'm going to see her tomorrow, so I'll ask her about that. But I love the idea of getting the kids up and moving while they're still interacting online. I love that. Did you guys want to ask each other? I mean, I appreciate your openness. You guys have already been asking each other questions, but if there's something that somebody, you know, like we need to show you, walk through, anything like that, feel free to unmute and tell us. I also put my name, T. Blue, or Brooke's name, B. Drennan, and both of us are at nicewongerfoundation.org. If you come up with something and you're like, hey, I have a question about this, you guys mentioned, feel free to let us know. We're totally open to that too.
So I did put something out for my students today. We're talking about kids just want to play and get out. And so I told them that we were going to start a little bit of review for the TCAP practice. And I'm like, I don't want this to be, you know, here, fill this out. Here's your little TCAP practice book. And so I asked them to all bring a towel, and we're going to go outside and, you know, have like a circle and do our TCAP practice outside. And they were so excited just because they're sitting in front of the computer all day. So just even if we take a computer with us outside, like I am today, or we take that TCAP practice book or whatever, just to even see the light of day, they were quite excited about that.
That's great. I think that's great. And that's therapeutic for all of us, isn't it? To get a little sunshine, you know? So I think that's wonderful. So you guys have seen and heard various tools that other teachers have been utilizing this year. You may have more questions, but what we would like this session to be, it was just an introduction, but what we would like this session to be is something that you kind of commit to trying before next session. So if you see that, hey, other people are using Jamboard effectively, then maybe that could be it. If you see that other people are trying the breakout rooms effectively, then maybe that could be it. It could be a Flipgrid, Padlet. It could be any of the tools that we've talked about today, or not. It might be tools that we haven't even mentioned yet today that we're going to get to next session, like Flipgrid and Pear Deck and things like that. So
or, sorry to interrupt, but it may just be a feature within your curriculum, within your online platform for your curriculum that you haven't had a chance to check out yet. So it could be something there as well. It could be something that you already have.
That's an awesome point, because aren't those the best tools? Something that's free and already at your service. Yeah, that's a great point. So that's just something we kind of want you to ponder a little bit, and we realize our time's getting short. So what would you commit to in the Jamboard? Brooke has a frame about what's next. And if you could just kind of say what you would want to commit to trying before next, you have like a month. I believe our next session is 1 month away. So you'll have a little bit of time to work it in around your spring break. And if it's a debacle, tell us it's a debacle. And then maybe we can kind of come together and figure out why or what we could do differently next time. Or if it goes super smoothly, then you might be helping teach another teacher how to do it smoothly. So that's what we really want to facilitate here, is a conversation between you guys. So That's basically what we're asking. Jot it down in your participant notes, put it on the Jamboard with a sticky note, what you would commit to trying before we come back together next time.
And if you're not, you don't have to post it today or write it down, but you're not going to have any homework for next time other than this, just to try something with your class. Maybe just try something new. So we hope that you have fun with that and that you were able to pick up something new today. We do have a survey, and we're going to drop the link for that in the chat. I do not want to run us over, so I'm going to try to get back to the slideshow. So if you wouldn't mind to just fill out that survey for us, we are constantly striving to improve. We know that we have lots that we could improve upon, so we would love your feedback. And if there's something that you would really like to dig into next time, we do not have to focus on exactly what we focused on with the last tech group. If there's something that you'd really like to dig into next time, please include that on the survey. If I think there may be a spot for like other or anything feedback that you would want to give. I'm sorry, I can't remember exactly what the wording is, but if there's a spot where you can just type something in, that'll just go to us. So if you want to say, hey, I really would like to learn about this next time, please put it on there, and we will definitely try to accommodate that. And just a reminder about some dates coming up. On April the 21st will be our second round of this affinity group. So we will be coming back together with the same group. And then we have some summer learning on June 14th and 15th and July 15th. I do think I received, are those dates still correct, Tracy?
Yes, as far as I know, they are. Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. And we just appreciate you taking time to be here with us today. And once you have the survey finished, and if you don't have any other questions, then we hope you go enjoy this beautiful afternoon. And we'll stick around in case there are any questions.
Thank you, guys.
Okay, so I think is that a wrap?
All right, good job, ladies.
Thanks, John. Thanks for your help.
Okay. Once we end, it'll download the recording to me, and YouTube's added this thing which is kind of nice. Whenever you upload a video, it checks it for copyright. So we'll see what happens with the Edutopia thing. And if we need to, we can just edit that part out and make reference to it. Okay. On the website if we need to. Okay. All right. Very good. Y'all have a good rest of the day.
Thanks, you too.
Okay. We'll see you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.